Have you ever wondered why some start a business and scale it super quickly, but others drag on for months or years before seeing any profit? Well, turns out that success in any discipline is not about hard work. In fact, hard work matters, but it's not the defining factor. The deciding factor is your ability to see the world differently and make a few specific changes to how you normally work and perform to really get the most out of your time. Every elite entrepreneur that we work with does these 8 things that I'm going to be sharing with you. And if you study the guys at the top of the food chain, we're talking Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all of those guys, they also do them. And in fact, they have built their own companies, SpaceX, Tesla, Amazon, around a variation of these principles. So take pen and paper and jot down 8 specific things elite performers don't do that you absolutely need to stop doing if you want to get the best results in your life and business. Welcome back. My name is Castillo, founder of Selfmastered, Peak Performance Institute for Entrepreneurs. We help them scale without any procrastination, burnout, or overwhelm. In this video, it's about the 8 specific things that I can guarantee will make a difference in your life. First, elite performers do not have an events mindset. What do I mean by this? Is elite performers see the world for what it is, a collection of systems of cause-effect relationship that can be audited for improvement. Everything is interconnected with everything else. So everything that you do has second, third, and fourth order consequences. Launching a marketing campaign is just not launching a marketing campaign. It implies an allocation of resources within your team and the results within the market that I need to be taken into account. If you just see the world as just a collection of events, well, just launch a marketing campaign and just hire this person without thinking about the effects of that decision and the causes that may have come before, you're missing out on a lot of information that could make you more effective. Because once you see cause-effect relationship in everything that you do, you become much more selective. You're able to zero in on the details that will matter in getting you the effects or the outcomes that you want. You're just randomly throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks. You're not going to be as effective as those that are surgical and strategic in their efforts, because they understand what causes lead to this decision and what effects should come from that decision. So first is having a systems mindset, not an events mindset. The second one, and this is a big one, is always focus on leverage, not volume. So I know there's this phrase thrown around that volume negates luck, but that is not necessarily true. In fact, if you look at the science of peak performance, there's a very crucial difference between practice and deliberate practice. Practice is practicing for the sake of practice. Deliberate practice is doing the thing in a way that you learn from it. AKA, you are getting feedback on your performance, and that becomes leverage because you are able to be much more strategic with your efforts once you are learning. A very clear example of this would be, let's say that you want to sign clients with cold email. If you send 10,000 emails without paying attention to the emails you're writing, if you're not A/B testing every line, if you're not really learning, then you're not going to get results. You're going to be hustling and grinding yourself out for a meager payday. But if on the other side, you're very strategic on how you craft that email and you are seeking feedback after every batch of 100, 200 emails that you send, let me tell you, you are going to be much more effective. And therefore, you're going to be learning much faster. So elite performers are not focused on volume. They're focused on leverage. And leverage comes from feedback, which is the thing you're going to be seeking every single time. 3, elite performers do not chase status, they chase development. So I've lost count of the amount of elite performers I know that they have built $1 million businesses and nobody knows about them. Unless you see them in an event or you are friends with them or you coach them like I do, you wouldn't tell that they are running a 7 or 8 figure business. Why? Because they are not showcasing their status. They are consistently working on investing the money they get from their business into becoming better themselves. They're hiring coaches, mentors, hiring team members, doing whatever needs to be done in order to become better at their craft, reinvesting back in their business, becoming over time the #1 option in their niche. Every time you see an entrepreneur that is flashing cars, flashing mansions, playing a status game, realize that that person is on the way out. because there's silent killers that is going to take that person out of the market, that they're constantly reinvesting every single dollar they get from their business into making sure they eventually win. So elite performers do not chase status. Break that spell. Focus on your self-development. Buy courses, buy mentors, get coaching, do whatever needs to be done to guarantee you came up on top. This leads me to point number 4. If you are an elite performer, you do not work from a to-do list. To-do list lacks context and specificity, and is very easy for you to get distracted if you're operating from a to-do list. Elite performers operate from a calendar. Everything that they are willing to do, their priorities are scheduled on the calendar, and they do not deviate from the calendar. Whatever happens in their life, they're constantly honoring the things that they put on the calendar. This limits entropy, prevents cognitive residue from building up in your brain, and makes you so much more effective. And this is back to this idea of development and status. If you are constantly developing yourself, you're constantly setting boundaries, constantly shifting through your priorities to realize what is the thing that makes the most sense to you and how you can become better at that thing. If you're chasing status, typically there's a lot of chaos around you. There's a lot of incoming requests that you shouldn't be paying attention to, but you do. And eventually that compromises your results. So 4, always work from a calendar. Respect that calendar. Set boundaries and not from a to-do list. Now, before I get into number 5, if you're seeing any value of the video, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of the juicy stuff that we are creating to make you an elite performer. 5, elite performers do not use Pomodoro. They use ring fencing. So this idea that the Pomodoro technique, having a 25 minutes of work and then 5 minutes of rest, is the ideal way of working, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, there's plenty of research that proves that the human brain takes about 23 minutes to get focused again on the task after being distracted once. So if you are stopping work every 25 minutes, you are basically condemning yourself to be permanently distracted. You can still get things done, but not at the quality you could if you just focus for 90 minutes, which is what I call the ring fencing session, which is a name that I invented years ago. A ring fence session is not 25 minutes of work and then 5 of rest. It's 90 minutes of work and then 20 of rest. This aligns with your own natural circadian rhythms, your own natural biorhythms, and allows you to truly tap into flow states. So instead of working 25/5, works 90/20. And in those 90 minutes, you focus on one thing that you have visualized the end result before you start. So let's say that you are going to write 5 ads, right? Well, you visualize what those 5 ads look like, exactly what is the end result of the work session. And then you work against the timer. You set a timer, a very simple timer on Google of 90 minutes, and you race towards finishing the task. If you do this, I can honestly guarantee that your effectiveness and productivity will skyrocket. Which leads me to point number 6. Elite performers do not rely on opinion, they rely on data. Once you are very strategic about how you are segmenting your day into 90-minute sessions and you have a very clear objective about what it is that you're trying to achieve, then you have data on whether what the thing you wanted to do actually got done, whether you're good enough at that thing, whether you got the results you wanted, and that allows you to optimize and become better at that task over time. Average performers are, you write an opinion, they try to do something, doesn't really work, they don't really know, maybe it is because of this, they don't really have any way of accurately measuring their performance. They have no data whatsoever to base their actions on. So they eventually miss a lot of key, crucial data points that they could use to become better. And they're also wasting a lot of time. So elite performers are constantly relying on data. What does the data say at the macro scale, so the business result, but also the micro scales, the specific things that I said I was going to do, but I ended up not doing? What prevented me from doing that? Why is this maybe a skill gap? Maybe is I'm too tired. What is the thing? Over time, you become an absolute master at understanding what really drives you. What leads me to point number 7, which is very, very important, is use feedback in everything that you do, especially every day. Because average performers, sometimes they will get quarterly feedback. They will think about what is the thing they wanted to do 3 months ago, and then they review their performance. But that is just too long of a time frame, and we typically forget what happened last week. We cannot really remember what happened 10 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago. So elite performers are constantly tracking their data. They're constantly looking at their output per day. They're constantly willing to improve every single day in order to be better tomorrow. No next quarter, not even next month. They're collecting data every single day and every single week. They have an end of day report with themselves, like I do and my clients do and all of my team members do, but also a weekly planning review, something that allows them to understand what went right and, more importantly, how to make it better. So always rely on feedback. And finally, the 8th point, which is very much forgotten these days, but truly makes all the difference, is that elite performers are operating from a place of purpose. They're intrinsically motivated to building businesses, to do what they do. They feel alive coming to work. They are building a business and a life that they don't want to take a vacation from. That is the key. Average performers see work and life as something separate, which prevents them from really tapping into the most powerful source of energy there is, which is intrinsic energy, inner energy, intrinsic motivation and purpose. So if you're not showing up every single day at peak energy, chances are it's because you're either working on something you don't really care about, or you haven't found a way to care about it. Because most people will start a business in order to make money and escape from a bad situation, financial situation typically, and that's okay. But at some point you have to change that energy. You have to change the energy of avoiding something you don't want, and have to have an energy of getting what you want, of saying to the universe, this is exactly what I want. And one of the core things that we help our clients do when they sign for a program is understand what is the core intrinsic motivator for the life. What is the thing that truly matters most for them? What is the stuff that will change the game for them if they only allow them to tap into it? Right? So these are the 8 things that I've noticed elite entrepreneurs, elite performers actually do. Doesn't matter at what level of business you are, those that do this from the start have so much faster results. In fact, I built this business 6-figure in 6 months, working part-time, so on 20 hours a week at most. And I've helped a lot of our clients do the same. And it's because we are very strategic about everything that we do. We're not just randomly throwing things and see what sticks, but we're really zero focused on doing the things we know in the best possible manner. That is what makes us elite performers, and this is what also will help you. So I hope this was useful. Let me know in the comments. If you want to go deep into this difference between average and elite performers, check out this video because it is a great complement of what I just discussed. See you in the next video.